the dopamine that I get when creating something from nothing and just being present and alive in that moment, man, it's just beautiful, right? It's something where it's like people say, oh, he had a knack or a natural, he was born like that. You get me in front of a canvas and you give me some paint. If I don't have an alarm, I will lose track of time.
Uno, dos, tres.
So, how do you capture an image when it's dynamic? Because that for me has been the big explosion in my head about like how does someone go about painting a scene that's happening, that's moving. It's one thing to just take a photo and it
Right.
captures that still image, but you're creating a still image over a period of time where other things are happening. Like you said at that first one, the bride and the groom had walked away, they were doing other things, they were going. So do you capture that in your mind? Like how are you, or is this kind of a flowing picture? Describe to me a little bit of the process.
Oh man, that's such a beautiful question. So my process in learning how to execute this at a wedding, I show up now 4 hours before the wedding. So if the wedding's at 4, at 1 o'clock, I'm painting the background. I give myself plenty of time. I paint the entire thing. So by the time the bride and the groom finally show up, the painting's at least 70% done. Because when they are up there at the altar, I have no more than 15 minutes to capture them. And
Mm,
unless I'm a printer, it's impossible. So what I've done is um, with color theory and the human anatomy, I know that everybody has two arms, everybody has two legs, everybody has a face, right? I can actually put the body in there and then I can really outline what they are. Also, my process has evolved. So now I have a team. So now I have a photographer that captures that moment and then she downloads through Wi-Fi and I put it on an iPad as a reference, as a backup.
mm.
So it's so beautiful because man, the dopamine that I get when creating something from nothing and just being present and alive in that moment, man, it's just beautiful, right? It's something where it's like people say, oh, he had a knack or a natural, he was born like that. You get me in front of a canvas and you give me some paint. If I don't have an alarm, I will lose track of time. And that's
Wow.
part of it. I love that process because it's like, hey, at one point, so I even have a GoPro time lapsing the whole thing because people don't believe me that I did this in one day, and that's part of my presentation. That's a
That's
little
so cool.
that's a secret sauce. And they look at the iPad and they just see my hand like a printer, just going nuts. And it's so cool, and it's that emotion, that powerful just moment. I mean, I love setting the table, and I
Yeah.
love when people get to experience that. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so you're creating this. I love that, by the way, the GoPro thing, because I would be fascinated. Like if it was me, I would watch the GoPro footage of you doing that, probably just on repeat for hours. That would be mesmerizing to me. Um,
Yeah.
but it sounds like this process is really a deeply emotional, emotionally driven, I guess, event. Like you pour your heart and soul into this. Do you find it's tough sometimes to separate maybe is this something you do full time? This is what you
Yes.
do full time? Okay. So, and that's huge. But and I want to ask you a little bit about that here in a second, but do you find that maybe what's going on in your personal life or maybe even like the pressures that you feel now running a business ever impact the way that you paint just because of the total heart and emotion that you put into the painting?
Yeah. So I would take that pressure and use it to be motivated because in that moment, right? Like I still have to produce, I
Mhm.
still have to deliver this piece. And through that process, most of my couples I've have such a really strong connection with that, to be honest, they would be ecstatic if I drew them, if I painted them as stick figures, because of the relationship element of it, because they know me, they know my family, they know my kids, they know the process. So this is a really because it, like you said, a very intimate process, I really make sure that I give it my all. So I use that pressure to really just tone it out. For me, it's therapeutic. So if I'm having a bad day and I'm just like, man, I need a quick pick me up, or I can put on The Office on the background. I
Okay.
can, go for a run. But if I really just kind of like want to shift my day, I go down to my studio and I paint, or I grab a sketch pad and I just go for it. And then I'm like, oh man, okay, I feel good. It recalibrates, and something happens in my brain that when I get to create, it's just beautiful, and it's kind of like a clean slate. So all of the worries, the hangups, the frustrations, the pressure, when I'm in front of the canvas, it just goes away. It's just me and the canvas. It's me and like a beautiful song or a beautiful dance that I get to just continue to like, okay, great. I'm going to look at my reference. Okay, awesome. I'm going to go here. Okay, I'm going to grab that value. I'm going to grab that shade. I'm going to grab that. Oh, that's a beautiful reflection. And I just get to like, just kind of pour into it. So, man, it's powerful. I love doing it. And to be honest, it's become an entertainment piece at weddings because people see that passion and they just surround me going, oh my gosh, is this really happening right now in front of our eyes?
Yeah.
And it's really cool, man. And so it now has become an entertainment piece. I don't sell it as an entertainment piece, but that's just a byproduct of the passion that man, I love doing it. It's just weird. It's, once you find something that you love, you'll never work a day in your life, right?